for the next panel is Education, a Nationalist Perspective. The panel will deliberate on education, its structure and system, not from the colonial, but an Indian perspective, and also the role that education sector will play in shaping the youth and in the process of nation building. We have eminent panelists and moderator among us. I would now like to request all the members on the panel to kindly come up on the stage. First panelist is Professor D.S. Chauhan, ex-chairperson of All India Universities Association and a retired professor, IIT BHU, Varanasi. Educationist and author Dr. Lata Nair is our second panelist. Dr. Nair is also the Chief Executive of Industrial Operations Research Group and consultants to Ministry of MSME. The next panelist is Dr. Sujata Seshadrinathan, Director IT and Process, Basis Fund Service, a serial entrepreneur, patents holder and innovator, Dr. Sujata. The fourth panelist is Shri R.N. Prashar, IS retired, former principal advisor to Chief Minister Haryana, who also is a prolific author. I now request all the panel members to kindly come up on stage. Along with them, join me in welcoming the moderator for this panel, Dr. Vijayam Ravi, Senior Educational Consultant, Visionary and TEDx speaker. Dr. Vijayam Ravi is a transforming educationist for over 40 years who has held several prestigious positions in educational institutions. Dr. Ravi is the Director, Goenka Global Education, Professor of Eminence at MGM University, and Adjunct Professor at Jamnalal Bajaj Institute. A teacher at heart, Dr. Ravi is a motivational speaker, innovator, a curriculum developer, and a leadership strategist. Please give a huge round of applause to our eminent panelists and the moderator.
Namaste. Namaste. Can I get back a louder namaste, please? That's right, because we were all talking about culture. Just the previous session. So culture is reciprocation too. So thank you very much. Thanks to KC College, Madam, Vice Chancellor. Thank you very much, and all the staff present here and my young friends. It is a privilege to be amongst you. I understand you're all disturbed. Some kind of a hush-hush happening. It's quite natural in any youth conclave where people should be waiting for long hours. I understand, but we will make it a very focused one because the topic is about national perspectives on education. I would like to know whether Dr. Chauhan is here. Has he come? He's not there. Oh, he's not there. All right. So, me into this, I had a very good discussion with all these eminent members earlier, and I tried to understand what are they, how are they, and what they can contribute to the forum here, because the topic here is so very, very pertinent, important. You know, I just give you a brief about it. The Bharat perspectives in education is dynamic and continue to evolve in response to changing social needs and global trends. Education remains as the cornerstone of Bharat's development. I'm deliberately using the word Bharatam. That's so beautiful. So, Bharat's development, and it is central to the aspirations for future. Why it is dynamic is because its major philosophies are based on holistic development, ancient wisdom, respect for gurus, rich and diverse culture, spirit of competition to win, the unmatchable competencies to meet challenges, innovation in science and technology, gender equality, and impetus on sustainable development through environment protection. What can address all these dimensions? Simple answer, education. Only education can address all these features. And the reason the whole world is changing today, you have machine learning, you have chat GPT, you have artificial intelligence, and most of you people sitting here must be using it very constantly. So it is a wonderful feeling for me to look at the perspectives, because after 5 years or 10 years, I do not know whether I'll be in this world, but you people will be living in this world, making this Bharatam a very proud country, the top country in the world. So probably the purpose of this conclave would give you some food for thought when you leave. And that was a simple purpose of having this conference. We have the, NEP, National Education Policy came in. And there are basically quite a few things that it talks about in the 100-page document, PDF document. It talks about school education. It talks about higher education. It also talks about the key areas like professional education, adult education, lifelong learning, promotion of Indian languages, Shrestha Bharat, and we have several other education, digital education, etc. And the last part of the NEP document is about implementation. So when you look at the kind of people sitting here, you have people from IT, you have people from higher education. So you are going to represent? Oh, great. Good. And madam is my PhD guide in philosophy. Thank you very much, ma'am.
I'm just coming as a substitute because the person is not being in the world of education. They've asked me to come. Thank you, Bhaga ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. So let me, above all, there is a dire need for creating employable youth. You learn in one of the most reputed colleges of this country. After your graduation or post-graduation or research, when you walk out into the street, there is a dire need that you are decently employed. Otherwise, the purpose of the institution has not been arrived at. So, today's panel discussion it's on national perspective. मैंने बताया आपको. Now, mostly I will be talking in English because not that I am not an Indian, but मेरा हिंदी थोड़ा, it's not that good. So you will forget your Hindi. Thank you very much, sir. So that's it. So let me, the panel, my way of conducting this session would be, first I will give you a brief introduction about you all, and I would want to ask all of them 3 questions each. It is not that they will ponder on any one particular topic. Each one is perfectly at liberty to share what they know of and not speak, suggest to the college authorities, suggest to the educators and also the policy makers if there is any, what can be done to revive the system of education in this country. We have an Indian system of knowledge here available with us, vast. What are we going to do with that? And we have to guide the youth on certain very, very fundamental requirements which would be very essentially required for them when you step into the world as a professional, as a person, sitting across someone else, an employer, attending interviews, taking the mantle ahead. You require a lot of guidance from gray-haired people. So we are here. All right, let me introduce the panelists. We have Dr. Lata Nair. Dr. Lata Nair is an educator based, and she teaches everything based on values, Bharatiya Guru's ex-head director of business school and is the management professional, chief executive of Industrial Operations Research Group, empaneled management consultants to the Ministry of MSME. And Dr. Lata is a renowned educator and author of many books and a staunch believer in holistic education for youth. So, Dr. Lata Nair is welcome as the first panelist. Thank you. We have Dr. Sujata Sheshadrinathan. She is fundamentally an IT expert. Your chat GPT, IT stuff and all that, she's a guru there, ustad hai. So, we need to discuss with her several things. She's an entrepreneur. Dr. Sujata is the director of IT and Process Basis Fund Service. Over 24 years of experience in IT and fund tech. Serial entrepreneur, patent holder, innovator, and India's top women in finance. Usually, women in finance, not all are Nirmala Sitharamans. Very difficult. We are, I don't know, equality for women and all that we speak, but handling money we still are a little low. I'm so glad, Sujata madam, that you are here to guide our students. So, she is an entrepreneurial excellence. She's a professor, speaker, multiple awards for entrepreneurial excellence. This is Dr. Sujata for you. We have Sri Prashar, an IAS officer. Thank you very much for that. Because this country needs number of IAS people. No doubt. Administration is the bottleneck. So, we are so glad to have Dr. Prashar. He is from the administrative side, from the government executionary systems. And Sri Prashar has formal qualifications in physics, economics and law, published years of teaching and 200 articles he has published in newspapers and web journals, 5 years of teaching and 39 years of administrative work. He also believes in holistic education, and his passion is remote mountains where he wants to drive and walk. It is a very interesting proposition to have Dr. Sri Prashar when we are discussing on national education as a fundamental subject here. We had Dr. Chauhan, as I mentioned, he is not available, but we are privileged to have Dr. Uma Shankar, madam. She is a passionate philosopher, and I studied philosophy under her, my MA. After a long time, I studied MA with her, and my second PhD in philosophy was under her as my guide. And from her, I got the passion about Shankara. Advaitam, you described it so very well, ma'am. And the last session also, you were so passionately describing. Thank you very much. So, the session now begins. It goes, the rule of this discussion is this. Each one of you, I have got few questions made. It is not that based on what you say, I will ask the next question. I have definite 3 questions because they have to be linked with the purpose of this conclave. So, I will be asking a question, and 3 minutes you will try to make it possible. Otherwise, our young friends will also be a little bit upset, but you should be listening to what they have got to say. And after the 3 minutes of one person's question answer, the same question can be given to the others, where in half a minute you can also comment what you think about it. Of course, it is not a debate. Okay? So let's begin. The first question is to Dr. Lata. Every organization you go, There will be a vision statement written there. We want to achieve excellence, this, that, student excellence, institutional excellence. Excellence is a very commonly, freely used word everywhere. And your excellence and the meaning that I understand from excellence is different. So who's going to give a definition for that excellence which is required from the youth today so that they become contributing individuals to the society? Therefore, the first question is the missing bridge to excellence. What is that? The world is looking for excellence in every field. This is my question. Industries are looking for professionals who will excel in their work. That's for you. Youth is looking for opportunities where they can excel in their career. Madam, what is that excellence the whole world is looking at? Kindly elaborate. Would you want to speak from here? Right.
Greetings, all of you dignitaries, dear students, and all the participants. And Madam, thank you for the right question in this present scenario. Yes, people are looking for excellence globally, locally. This is a world of excellence, no doubt in that. And what is that excellence people are looking for? I will tell you a beautiful story in 3 minutes. An American tourist once visited Tanjavur, the temple city of Tamil Nadu. So during his visit, he heard about a master sculptor who is well known for his work. When he met the sculptor, he was working on an idol of goddess Lakshmi. Very beautiful, fantastic, perfect piece of work. And he also noticed another idol of goddess Lakshmi lying on the floor. So beautiful as the one he was working on it. So surprised at it, the tourist asked, "Do you need 2 idols of the same type?" Without looking up, continuing with the work, the sculptor answered, "No. The one we need only one, but the one which is lying on the floor got damaged at the final stage." So curious at the remark, the tourist had a second look at the idol lying on the floor, and he asked, "What is that damage?" So, without still continuing on the work, okay, thank you. So, still continuing on the work, the sculptor answered, "There is a small scratch at the tip of the nose of the idol which is lying on the floor." So, the tourist had again a third look, a thorough examination of the idol lying on the floor, and then he asked the sculptor, "At what level you are going to, at what height you are going to install this idol?" So he said, 20 feet above the ground level. So the tourist had a hearty laugh. He couldn't even control his laughter. So he asked the sculptor, "If you are going to install the idol at 20 feet above ground level, tell me, who is going to know that there is a scratch at the tip of the nose?" So hearing this, the sculptor stopped his work for the first time, smiled at the tourist and said, "I know it. I know. This is my work. My work should be perfect. My work should be excellent. the most beautiful piece of work, my work should be. It is my work. And dear friends, it is this perfection, this excellence, this commitment, and this dedication the world is expecting from the youth. And remember, and the bridge to this excellence is nothing but the love for the work. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. So that was wonderful. You know, excellence doesn't lie outside. It is within you. You keep your own standards. That is in a nutshell what Dr. Lata has been mentioning to you. So students, you, every single individual sitting here is a beautiful creation of God, and He has already bottled inside you excellence. Your job, while studying in college or school or other organization, is to bring out your potential, define your own standards, and see the perfection. More than what you will do, you have to decide what you won't do. That is very important. Let's come to the next question to Madam Sujata, is that students of today have several options to learn and excel. Okay, you have plenty of courses available. If not this, not like before, in traditional times when we all learned, if you take a second group, you have only XYZ subjects to learn. You cannot take a social studies with a biology. Those kind of restrictions were there when we were all students. Today it isn't like that. You have several options to excel. You have deserving policies, reservations, everything is also there. Educational institutions are also striving to bring the best potential in you. But still, ma'am, we are lacking somewhere. We are not able to give that output in the fullest form from colleges and universities. What is that challenge that we face in education today, and how to fix it?
Thank you very much for that question, madam. To tell a very brief thing about my background, I have taught management, I have taught technology entrepreneurship, and I have also managed the technical training side of IT majors for many years. So that was my primary career. The reason I say this here is because when I did my doctorate and when I went back to teaching, I had so much in life that my guide asked me, actually this was a question he asked me, Madam, you run that company, Madam, that is a car you drive, exactly why are you doing what you're doing? And that is a question that I want all of you to ask yourself first. See, you don't come from a background where you have to work for eating. Your previous generation had to do that. They didn't have the choices. In fact, Madam Vijayam Ravi would have struggled to get an education in the first place as a woman of that generation. They had to explain why they wanted to study and not get married. We are not in that position. So where is it still lacking? I personally feel what is lacking is the youth of today are conveniently forgetting to ask themselves the question, why are they doing what they're doing? How many of you have asked yourself this question and then joined this course or this college? Okay, I can see quite a few did. I have trained people in my classroom who were engineers, whose passion was to write Hindi poetry. This girl wrote Hindi. She used to write when I was teaching. She was very good at it. And she was good at her course also. I was teaching them mainframes. And I was pretty irritated this woman is always writing. I asked to see what she was writing. Her simple thing was, Madam, my father is a black cat commando with the Indian police. He does not take bribes. And she was from the Andhra background. So he does not have the money to pay my dowry if I'm not an engineer. So that was the reason she became an engineer. But what was her passion? And this girl is a published Hindi poet now. Okay? Her reason was this. So you're going to have to ask yourself what your passion is and excel at that. I personally also feel that we need to, at the education level, recalibrate a little bit and teach the people that what you are learning is not alien. One thing that we all need to understand, that we are not doing anything anywhere close to what the scientists at ISRO did. We have a long way to go. We have not reached anywhere. We must understand what our priorities are, where we need to get, and what we are capable of doing. These three questions are very important. When the IT majors say 94% of our engineers are unemployable, we are all like, oh God, don't say that. Well, they indeed are unemployable because they did engineering, because they wanted job and money. Wrong priorities. Job and money should never be a priority when you choose what you want to study. Personal experience, and today sitting here, all these gurus they're much senior to me. But I can tell you this with confidence, that I have always died of jealousy at the Dhananjayans. I don't know whether you all have heard of the Dhananjayans. They are a very established dancing couple. I used to love Bharatanatyam as a child, I still do. And in my previous janam I danced. But the Dhananjayans, I'm jealous of them because they made a passion. They discovered their passion. They made a career of the passion. They married into their passion. And they live the life of their passion. When you do that, money, recognition automatically comes to you. If paisa thoda kam ho gaya, so what? You still are living a life of your passion. So I think the problem is that they are not asking this question. They are studying for the sake of money. They are studying for the sake of a degree. Now that they have so much of choices, they must ask themselves this question first before they enter into doing anything. And if God is kind and you get a chance to live a life of your passion like me after you're 45, take it. Take it at any point that the chance comes to you. Because you will study, you will excel, you will grow only when you're doing that what you're passionate about. Just try it. Try doing that. Then you won't need a work-life balance. I don't need a work-life balance. You can see the age of the people who are on the panel with us. They are still so excited about doing what they're doing. Because when you do that, what is your passion? Your work is your life, your work is your balance. You don't need a separate work-life balance. So first find out what is your passion. That's the most important thing.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Do you have anything to add on to what Madam said? Madam Uma? Anything to what she has been speaking about?
So when we're talking about excellence, and when she started off with the passion that we need to have in order to excel, and you need to discover it, I had similar experience what you're talking about it as a principal of a college. A lot of students have come after doing 2 years of engineering or 3 years. This year even I had 3 years of medicine they have done, and they have left everything and taken humanities. And I asked them, why did you waste 2-3 years running around doing all these courses? Ma'am, don't ask this question to me. Ask them. And the parents are standing there, absolutely feeling sorry for the decision, and they were so apologetic. In order to see that I could not do engineering, or I could not do medicine, I could not get into pharma, I could not get into Navy, I could not get into all that. I want my children to do it. So this pressure also makes, unless children forthrightly say that this is my priority, this is my passion, and I am seeking excellence towards that. Unless we are forthright with that and convince your parents that you will excel in it. You are not going to do just like an I also ran, but you will excel in it. Once you know that you are going to excel in it, I don't think any parent will say no to that. And you can be. Yes, I too had a literature person. He turned into an artist, dropping engineering, and today he is a well-established artist I have. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, you would like to add quickly, half a minute. Would you like anything to add to what Sujata madam said?
Yes, what she said is very correct, because whenever the passion is there, that only leads to excellence, which the world is looking for. I'm repeating what I said. Now, nothing short of excellence. People are looking for good or very good. The excellence, the only word. So to create excellence, the passion for the work, whatever work we do, that is necessary. So that's all.
Thank you. Sir, would you like to add anything to what she said? Oh, you would like to speak about Madam's question. I know I missed out asking everyone. Sir wants to add something on excellence. Half a minute, sir.
I would like to share something which I have practiced, and then I passed on to my daughter, who is now an IAS officer. The competition is with myself as the sculptor in the story. Now, there are two parts of me. One is my soul, which says, go on, go on, go on. One is my mind, which says, I'm tired, sit down. I'm tired, sit down. And I had an extreme occasion to do that. Many of you will know, I've trekked all my life in the mountains. I still do. Many of you would have gone to Vaishno Devi. It's a return 25-kilometer trek. After retirement at the age of 61 years, I camped at the base, Kattara, and for 31 days, I went up every day and came back in the evening. Now, everyone gets tired. Those who say they don't get tired, they're liars. Everyone gets tired because everyone has a mind, and mind tells you you are tired. So, first day was okay, but second day is always very tough because the tiredness of the previous day is there. So as I was going up, the mind kept telling me, you're tired, sit down. So I had to find an answer to that. And my answer, I call it next 4 steps. I told myself that a person could be too tired to walk a kilometer. He could be too tired to walk 100 meters. But can a person be too tired to walk next 4 steps? Nobody can be so tired that he cannot walk the next 4 steps. And after that, there are 4 steps, and after that, there are 4 steps. And I did it for 1 month with my next 4 steps. So compete with yourself. Put in your best effort. Don't be the best in the world. Don't strive for that. Be your best. And when your mind says, enough, stop it, this will do, chaliga, you say no, next 4 steps. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So the first question was on excellence. What is the bridging that excellence gap? Madam gave it a beautiful narration. Sujata madam gave passion. Passion is so important. So, Uma madam contributed to it also. And Sir is ending it up with a competition, not with your neighbor, not with your classmate, but within your own self, so that you elevate your standards. You are at the moment at position X, you would like to go Y. What is it that you have to have that extra passion, the spirit for excellence, and also another 4 steps, competing with your own self. That is the conclusion of the first 2 questions. The next question, sir, is to you. You are coming from the world of administration. The problem with our country is that we have nothing less for policies, in terms of policies. But when it comes to reality, there is no blueprint or a written document how one has to implement. So the question goes like this. You believe in holistic way of learning. That's what we discussed. You also said something like that. The latest NEP also insists on holistic way of learning. There is a new guideline towards Shrestha Bharat. There is an Indian system where the chapter gives Shrestha Bharat. Now, earlier also we had several policies. Several good intentions also were there. So, and here in Shrestha Bharat, what they are asking is to exploit the Indian system's knowledge to our advantage. That is the ancient wisdom coupled with modern technology. So, how do you think, sir, this new guideline given in NEP will be able to exploit the Indian knowledge and ancient wisdom to promote the so-called excellence in an ever-changing world of challenges and digital disruptions?
It's a very large subject. At the given time, I'll focus only on one point and do that rather well than cover everything. Early education and culture are inseparable. You cannot educate a small child without a cultural element. It's impossible. It's just not possible. Now, in the last few decades, economic necessity has brought out a social change which has resulted in a cultural disruption. We have moved and rapidly moving from joint family to nuclear family. And culture is not taught. Culture is transmission. It's not a classroom subject. And the grandparents were the biggest transmitters of culture. And as economic necessity changes the social pattern, nuclear families, small apartments, that cultural transmission has been broken completely. Virtually, when we sometimes blame our younger generation that they are not steeped in our culture, we forget who used to dunk them into it. It's not their fault. It's maybe not even our fault. But we have flown with the tide rather than stand against the tide. And unfortunately, the education policy, NEP, does not pay any attention to this aspect. It's totally ignored. You go through the document, this part is not there. So you want to have cultural transmission and you want to have nuclear families with grandparents living alone, sometimes very painfully, or living in old people's home. And the only culture the youngsters are getting is that the grandparents live in old people's home. This is the new culture. So I think it should be included in the policy. It's not an impossible task. I am from Chandigarh. I have been there since 1980. We have our share of old people's homes there. And some organizations regularly take children to those old people's homes. They feel very happy. The old people feel very happy because they haven't seen children in a long time. Sometimes they have never seen their own grandchild. The children gain the company of elders. They do a little bit of work also for them. They hear their stories. It's all right that we buy Panch Tantra books and other things for our children. But the oral transmission, we know from Africa what disconnect has been there. The entire Africa did not have a script. The entire transmission in Africa was oral. And that has been broken to a large extent. Our transmission also, particularly for pre-literate phase of the childhood, was oral. That has been broken, and those are the absorption years. 0 to 5 is the absorption year, perhaps even pre-birth is absorption year. Those 9 months are also absorption time, perhaps. Subsequently, what you learn is adsorption. This is a chemistry term. It's absorbed on the surface. When it's absorbed in the whole body, it is absorption. When it's absorbed only on the surface, it is adsorption. So your mother tongue is absorbed in the first 5 years. You don't speak it for 40 years, you will not make a mistake of grammar. You learn a foreign language for 10 years, do not speak it for 20 years, you will make a mistake. Because mother tongue has been absorbed. Culture is not being absorbed. Thereafter you teach it, it will be only adsorbed. Thank you.
That was wonderful, sir. Beautifully explained. The cultural transmission is not happening. What he said is absorption. Adsorption, the chemistry, it's the terminology, superficial spreading is adsorption. Absorption is internalizing it. That internalizing of culture has not happened. Shrestha Bharat, theek idea hai. There is no doubt about it. NEP is also speaking about it. But the guidelines to practice that Shrestha Bharat, he feels that cultural transmission is not happened. Probably what Dr. Uma was mentioning in the last session of yours, you have a value lab, etc. You have been mentioning such kind of activities in colleges also. Youth also would be wonderful. Anyone from the youth, what do you think? How can we get the Indian systems back to us? Or is it there? Do you think there is a requirement for that, to bring back the transmission, lost culture, to get it back? Is there any way that is coming up from your side? Anyone? Quickly, half a minute. I'm not able to see because of the glare. You have to make a loud noise. Anyone? Huh? Okay, that is a good suggestion. Madam says, 5 minutes, aap sochiyega. I'll come back to you with the next question. I have to ask Dr. Lata. So, you want to say something about what Sir said? Please do. Sir said, bringing back the transmission of culture.
Yes, there is something like value-based education. We are getting knowledge. Even on a click on the Google, you will get a lot of knowledge. But whether the education is giving wisdom or we become wise, that's the thing which we have to look into.
Very good. Madam, you would like to add anything? It's okay. So let us now go to Madam Lata for the next question that I have for you, which is also very, very interesting for you too. You know, work, when it comes to work, is basically doing something for living. All of us work for a living. Wonderful, accepted. Everybody has to work. That is also accepted. Otherwise, you are a misfit to the society. How to achieve a state of mind where you completely love your work? Most of us work because there is no other go. Khana, paid puja karne ke liye, khana banane ke liye, we need something. So you need to work on it, and so you work. As a result of it, the work is not 100% transferred or transmitted. So what can you do to love your work? Yes, ma'am.
Teachers always love standing and talking, that's why. So work is inevitable. But how can one love his work? That's the question Madam asked. Actually, I faced this question many times during my talks, especially from the industry sector. They ask, how can we love work? They also ask, is it possible for everybody to love work? So my answer to all these questions is a big yes. It's a missing bridge. The missing bridge is how to achieve excellence by loving work. How to love work. Let me share with you a concept for locating the missing bridge. The concept, which I lovingly called it as, which I named it as Y2H. Y2H consists of 3 stages. Yajna, the stage of hard work. Yaga, the stage of practical training. And Homa, the stage of real work, action. In Yajna, this is a stage where we acquire and assimilate knowledge. Just learning how to do the work. Simply learning how to do the work. This is actually, we can say it's the job content, knowing the job content. In this stage, one must learn the basic concepts and principles which form the foundation of doing the work. So I repeat, how to do the work. Learn how to do the work. So open your mind at this stage. Let knowledge come from all the sides. It's an yajna, learning. If a creeper is kept on a glass jar, there are restrictions to grow. Similarly, keep your mind like a parachute. Let knowledge come. So it's a learning process which forms the strong foundation. So a strong foundation is not needed to achieve excellence. Our aim is that, how to achieve excellence. So in yajna, you learn how to do the work, which form the foundation. The second stage, yaga. Here we practice what we acquired, what we learned from yajna. Unless you don't practice what you learned, you cannot achieve excellence. If you are not doing, if you are not having the practical wisdom of doing a work, you can't love the work. You can't achieve excellence. For doing a work, there are a number of methods, which is your best method. So to arrive at your best method, you have to practice a number of methods. For plucking berries, there is a comfortable method, there is a best method. Otherwise, you will get stung by the nettles. Your fingers will get hurt. You can pluck berries, but your fingers will get hurt. So which is your best method, where you are most comfortable achieving the best result? And the third stage is, again, where the stage of homa, where you are doing your work with full dedication and commitment. You have become competent through yajna. You have become comfortable through yaga. Now give your mind to your work. Your mind should be so peaceful, so that, like when you are pouring puja flowers to God, when you are pouring ghee to the homakund, so peaceful. Your mind should be so calm, serene, silent, concentrated, dedicated. There are only two things in the world, you and your work. You are not worried about the outcome. You are not tensed about the results. So concentrated, so much calm and serene. So in such a stage, definitely where only you and your work is there, you can achieve excellence. Remember the mindset of this sculpture. I will tell you a recent example. You all are familiar about the Chandrayaan and Aditya. The brain behind the Chandrayaan, the engineers, the scientists, they are not from Cambridge, Stanford, or Oxford. They are not from abroad universities, not even from IITs or IIMs. They are from Indian universities, Indian colleges. What made them achieve the mission? The great prestigious mission where the whole world is envy of Bharat. They love their work. They are so dedicated, they are so committed, they are so concentrated. They gave their mind to their work. So when the mind is given to the work, when they love their work, when you love your work, you cannot escape from achieving excellence. Excellence is the result. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. That's beautiful. Beautifully explained. I'll come to it. Is there anything that you would like to add, sir, to what she said? Please do.
The main word is activity. And we divide it into two parts. One part we call work, the other part we call leisure. In both we are doing activity. One we are enjoying, the other we are doing because we have to. 30 years ago, there was a feature in Time magazine on this issue that people say they have no time, no energy, this, that. And In the next issue, there was a letter to the editor, very short, 2 sentences. But the Time magazine put it in a box with large letters. The correspondent wrote, "Do what you love, energy will follow." So if we are doing it, the activity as work, the energy goes down. When you're doing it as leisure, energy goes up.
Beautifully explained. So students, you have got a clue today. So today when you get back home, in the wee hours of your late sleeping technology, think about it. You should do what you love to do. Then the passion is there, excellence is the outcome of it. And like what Lata madam has been giving you, in 3 things only you have to do to love. One is that you have to be competent in what you are doing. You know, people who are not highly talented or competent enough will mess up everything. So you have to make sure that whatever you are doing, if you are studying something, do that in 100%. Get the competency to do that. Second point, what madam said is that comfortable. You have to be comfortable with what you are doing, how you are doing. Hard work is very, very mehnat important. Hai? And the third one, what madam mentioned was the dedication and the commitment to whatever you are doing. These 3 things you will remember. What are the 3 things? Let me be a teacher for a while. What are the 3 things? One is competency, correct? Competent in whatever you are doing, you have to be competent enough. Then comfortably put in hard work there and commitment, dedication to what you are doing. Then you will be able to excel. That will turn out to be a passion. Like what Sir Prashar said, it should not be done in a leisurely way. Work is never a leisure. Leisure is leisure, work is work. So that is what was the essence of this question. Anything you would like to add, ma'am? Half a minute. Sorry.
Yeah. One of the things that you can take home, how do you gauge that what you are doing it actually you are loving it? How do you gauge it? One, of course, sir has given a hint that the energy will flow. You can also check it out that you are never tired of doing things that you love. And the time that you are going to devote for the things that you love to do it, you don't look at the watch 100 times. Time simply stands still, or you go beyond the aspect of time. So a sculptor working, or the artist singing, rehearse, or a sportsman who is practicing, what they love to do it, in all of them you will see a time framework of where they are all moved beyond the time. And that is what gives you a lot of energy flow. So it is easy to say that you must do what you love, but constantly keep gauging, checking that are you enjoying it, and therefore you are able to have this competency, commitment, and thereby you are able to reach the ladder of excellence. I think that's a good pathway. You can check it out. Thank you.
Very good. Excellent, ma'am. Thank you so much. Now, Dr. Sujata, there has been a question also asked by Smitesh Gawali. The student has been asking something for which I would request Smitesh to listen to the answer that Madam is going to give to my next question to Dr. Sujata, is that we are living in an era of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and ChatGPT. What are the positive and negative impacts of this digital disruption? Does this pose any challenge to human development? Smitesh, listen carefully. The answer is here.
We are all of us are a function of our times, function of the life conditioning that we have lived with. So there will be a marked difference in the way I speak. I come from the corporate background, and in the way that educators speak. This will boil down to everything we do. Like some of us, you are a function of your times. You're going to reach out to ChatGPT. You can't help it. That's how you're going to work. But how good is it? It's a very interesting question out there. Now, I believe personally, I love reading. So I've always said Wiki was invented for me. The kind of things that I read on Wikipedia, and the kind of I know things like where Rajaraja Cholan died, and that is not in Tamil Nadu, it's a place in Maharashtra. These things come up because I like to read. Now, why am I telling you this? I did my doctorate recently. I don't know how many of you know, there's something called a Google Scholar. Google Scholar is a tool introduced by Google for research. So you may not find all papers there, but I like reading technical papers. I'm sure many of you do too in areas of your interest. You may not get the papers there, but you'll get the reference there, and then you can go back to the other paid sources to get out those papers and read them. What I'm saying and why I'm giving you this background is to tell you that ChatGPT is not God. ChatGPT, AI, MI are doing just what I told you now. They're doing all these things. Whether it is AI or MI, anybody from TechLine is going to tell you AI is not new. MI is not new. AI has existed as long back as the invention and the introduction of Windows. It is that old. But only now we see it in this form of ChatGPT, where you narrate a question and you get an answer out of it. Right? How different is that from an experience where I used Google Scholar or where I cannot keep down my mobile phone. Whereas the others in the panel have not touched their mobile phone. There's nothing great about technology. It is just that we are used to it. I'm used to it. I Google everything that I hear. Any new word I hear, I have been writing notes. These are not notes that I'm going to talk to you about. These are notes for my further reading. I'm a student for life. I will not like ChatGPT because ChatGPT clips that wings of mine. I want to do my own research. I want to be my own ChatGPT. Why ChatGPT is not good? Because remember, your teachers, it does help you with assignments. It hastens up a lot of things for you. But unfortunately, are you reading all the answers that AI or ChatGPT is giving you? You are not. You are just copy-pasting the first 2 lines of answer. And believe me, nowadays, ethics, and you have to sign up for ethics committees when you submit papers or even when you do your doctorate. And those ethical tools like your Turnitin, which checks for plagiarism, is smart enough to track ChatGPT answers, and it is tracking it. I have rejected papers where the plagiarism and similarity, it was very obvious to me coming from the tech field that this is done using ChatGPT. Please remember, ChatGPT will merely summate data that is there on the web for you. It does not have emotional intelligence. It does not have the power of discrimination that the human mind has. So if the data itself out there is biased, is not clean, then ChatGPT's answers are not going to be clean for you. And you're going to have to work on these answers or work on the output of AI or ChatGPT and probably report it to a supervisor or a senior, right? The supervisor or the senior came from a pre-ChatGPT era and will catch your ChatGPT answers in a matter of seconds. This is really happening. So while you can use these tools, as a person from the line which has developed these tools, I'll tell you this, try to look beyond them. They're good. Use them. Please use them. Technology is such that once you've grown to that level, you can never undo it. You can never go back to living without it. I still watch news channels. I bet on it that none of you have gone beyond OTT. Technology is like that. It's going to grab you. But you don't want to be grabbed by such technologies which are restricting your thinking and learning abilities. Are artificial intelligence and tools like that restricting anything in you? Do you like being restricted? Do you like being told that there is knowledge out there, but this is enough for you to learn? I don't like it. And I'm sure many of you don't like it too. So try to use it, but use it to the minimum. And always remember that the answers it gives you are good, but they're good for a start. Please remember and bother yourself to investigate further on the answers. Expand on it, okay? which is why I love Wiki. I love clicking on all the links that Wiki gives along with the whole narration, And there you expand your answers so much. ChatGPT in many cases does not give you that. And as a techie and as a person who has always worked with, Web3 is something of a passion now because I come from the blockchain domain. I can tell you this, that all information out there on the net is always pushed by certain stakeholders. This is something you all have heard, right? You all have heard this, right? There are promoted pages. Any search you give, there are promoted pages. There is promoted information. Today we are sitting on threshold where anti-Bharat narratives are being explored. Why? Who told us about all this? This is because commercialization of information is massive. And this commercial information is what ChatGPT and AI gives you. It is not clean knowledge-based information. It could be, but it's a chance you take. So therefore, use it, use these tools, use them discriminatively, and also remember to further explore on the tips that have been given to you by these tools.
That's really a very prompt answer. I have not been able to look at it that way, but this is opening my thinking about it also. ChatGPT is very good, but if you want to know anything today, immediately, we all do it. So, one thing which Madam said is something for people when you get into research field also, ChatGPT will give you the answer. But plagiarism is a big issue that is waiting for you. You have to be extremely careful in using ChatGPT because, for example, let me tell you, in normal classrooms, you may not be doing extremely well in English, but you are asked to submit an essay, which is fantastic language. The teacher is intelligent enough to understand where that answer comes. So use it for your enhancement of knowledge, but you should not become a slave to that. That's what Madam Sujata has been mentioning. And this is actually a world where the disruption is happening without even realizing it, we are into it. So students, please, like how we have been so occupied with the phone technology has come to our life. The first thing when we wake up in the morning, we don't even open our eyes to see what is the WhatsApp message lying there. That has become the life of you all. That has to change. Now let me come to the question to Madam Uma, would you be answering one question at least possible? So I would want to ask you a question here. This is about higher education. This question actually was given to me by one vice chancellor. When I told him, this is what is going to happen there, can you help me frame one question? He immediately sent me a question. So this is coming from a top position person. The question is, one second. Yeah. Universities need to work out structural changes to include 6 verticals. He is talking about major, minor subjects, ability enhancement, skill education, on-job training, open elective. 6 verticals in higher education. Budgetary provisions are also needed to ensure smooth implementation. And the NEP is talking about sharing facility and faculty. NEP suggests you can share faculty, facility, everything. How do you think, ma'am? In reality, it would remain as a dream, or how do you envisage a change here?
Thank you. I think HNLC as well as all the other staff or academicians who are present here will know that this year Maharashtra has embarked on NEP, and a lot of colleges, especially autonomous colleges like us and many other, have also adopted NEP. The 6 verticals that we are talking about, there is a sea change in the entire curriculum, which students, all of you will be aware of. If there are second year and the third year students, you have escaped that. The first years would have gone into this system of choosing your major and minor, and your open electives, value education course, you have ability enhancement, and you have an open elective. All these are required to supplement and complement what you are pursuing actually as a degree. The change, I cannot say for today whether it will be absolutely fantastic. We'll have to wait and watch after 3 years, one cycle of it when they graduate. But the whole shift, the paradigm shift that I'm looking at it is here. Earlier, the core papers, if it is a BA student, since I come from humanities, BA students means they would have at least 3 core papers and the other would supplement. There would be one foundation course, there will be a language, and there could be something called an applied component. But today in NEP, we have only 2 core papers. The open electives is helping them to have a supplementary remark on that. The other, learning a language, which is compulsory for arts as well as science as well as commerce students, even management students. All of them have to learn a language, which was deprived. So flip side of it, learning a language is important. Learning your state language, important. Learning your mother tongue, very important. All these options are given to you. The third vertical that you have is the skill enhancement. At the beginning of it, Dr. Ravi made a mention that, are we making today's students employable? If they get out of it with a colorful certificate or a degree after 3 years, is there an industry ready to take them and give them a job? Are we making them? So all these years, not that we did not make it, all of us got a job, isn't it? 30 years back, we finished our education, we got a job. But are we going to get it in the future? Especially the competition with AI and ChatGPT and all that coming up, we are going to have a tough time. Therefore, this national education policy allows you to develop a skill that you like it. The second question that she's asking is, how are we going to manage it within an institute? I'm sure Hemlata ma'am will also find it very difficult to give an answer immediately because we are experimenting on it. Sharing space, sharing the infrastructure, sharing the expertise, sharing knowledge system, sharing everything can happen, provided it is within a vicinity. Now after COVID, all of us have understood how to have online lectures, online teaching. It is not, we are not averse to it. So those kind of 40% you can also have online lectures is allowed now. So I can get somebody from an industry-based person or some other academician from a distance. From Dehradun, I can invite sir for my next lecture to address my students. He can do it from there, wherever he is. And he can share his knowledge with my students. This, looking at the positive side of it, NEP opens up these 6 verticals and allows you, if there is a dearth with your capacity, infrastructural space, etc., you can join hands with the others. And I've experimented in my college with 2 institutes nearby to our college with whom we are sharing knowledge, also sharing infrastructure. There are hiccups, timetable issues, students need to be told much in advance. One has to be efficient and try to do it. They will also understand these hiccups and challenges are momentary and we will be going up. Now, on-job OGT that they are talking about, on-job training, it will take some more time. If all colleges are going to ask for internship from all the industries in Mumbai itself, it's going to be very difficult. So we can have some other ways of giving them a research project, a research internship, or guiding a research scholar. These things can also open up. So under NEP, I'm looking at it in a very optimistic manner that there is a lot of freedom, there's a lot of autonomy given to us. How are we going to make use of it? I think we will have to wait and watch. I'm curious too. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. So you have understood the 6 verticals in higher education, how that can be bridged or how you can circumvent that kind of a gap or whatever is happening. Everything fundamentally only one thing. Take a risk, do something which interests you. Your goal must be excellence. To reach there, what you would like to do is your own commitment. Competition is within you, not with your neighbor who's sitting just by your side. Now, let me ask you, sir, a question, which is very close to my heart. One more round and I'm done, okay? So, The country needs eminent and efficient public servants. The country needs eminent and efficient public servants to implement many of its developmental plans. If Bharat has to be on top of the world, what, according to you, you are an IAS officer, what, according to you, would attract this youth to doing an IAS like you? And IAS and IPS, and what reforms would you suggest to get there? Do you see the present NEP would be able to address this shortage of eminent public servants? To you, sir.
Again, a very vast question. People have applied mine to particularly the second part a lot. I know what is attracting them today. That I know. I'm associated with a voluntary organization which helps students with mock interviews for the last 10 years, and I've been going through that, and I know what is attracting them. We have a situation where some candidates find a class 2 service more attractive than a class 1 service. They have given it a higher order precedence, and it's not exceptional. The number of such students is fairly large. So, what should attract them, we all know. But how to attract them, we don't seem to know. These services have a lot of advantages today. When I joined in 1975, my first pay was 1,000 rupees. And at the academy at Mussoorie, 700 rupees was the mess bill. And we were always hand to mouth. I had been a lecturer for 5 years before that. So I got about 5,000 rupees as my provident fund from there. And that's what I lived on at Mussoorie. And then they used to give us a long list of what we have to bring with our own money. The kind of formal clothes, informal clothes, riding boots, riding breeches, this, that. Riding was compulsory in those days. So it was a lot of sacrifice. When I became an SDM, it was in a very remote subdivision. There was no government house, so they had acquired some Seth's Haveli and given it to me as residence. If I had changed all the bulbs in that house, my salary would have gone in that only. So I used to put bulbs in 2 places. In the house, rest was dark. I couldn't afford it. Now, fact is that if you choose civil service, I'm talking to those who are very, very capable. They can choose. Some can't choose. So for them, it's okay. But those who can choose have the capability to do so. They have to understand that as far as material comfort is concerned, they may be foregoing some. As far as piling up your bank account in the next 10 years, early 10 years, later on your salary will go up, but you will be missing out on that. Unfortunately, the lesson is not there. They want to pile up the bank account in the first 10 years only. We have a serious problem there. And we are all banging our heads against that problem and are not up with any solution yet. But as far as the reforms in the training is concerned, there has been an issue which I have not been able to unravel. I know it as a fact. I don't know why the country doesn't do that. We have suggested, it has not happened. When General Saab wanted to join as a commissioned officer, maybe through the NDA, after clearing the UPSC exam, he would have spent several days at the Services Selection Board, 5 days. When he lived there at the Services Selection Board, he was put through physical activities, he was put through games, psychological games, leadership games. Questions were asked. For 5 days, he would have been working for 12 hours a day when he was being constantly watched. In those days, there were no CCTV cameras, so people would be watching him. During all these decades, when Army, Navy, and Air Force officers have been selected after 5 days of personality assessment at the Services Selection Board, IAS officers have been selected after 30 minutes of interview at the UPSC. I do not know why it just continues like that. In those 30 minutes, what you can possibly assess that he'll be a good police officer, he'll be a good IAS officer, or he'll be a good income tax officer. I can't unravel that mystery. We have suggested, I had a discussion with Mr. Kothari when he was asked to revise the system of IAS selection. He did not touch this part. He touched only the written exam part. And to my mind, he diluted it. Because when I appeared, we used to have 8 papers. And we used to take 3 lower subjects and 2 higher subjects. And gradually, they have reduced the number of subjects. It's a generalist service. You're supposed to know about the world. I mean, when I joined the IAS, I had been a lecturer in physics for 5 years. I thought physics was not enough for me in this service. So I did MA in economics, I did law, I did a lot of research in comparative mythology, so that I could be equipped to handle the generalist problems. But the exam is not testing that anymore. Exam has excluded it. I think the personality test needs a lot more change. In the IAS, knowledge may be important. You have a lot of support for providing you facts. You need analytical power. You need predictive power. You need information about what is going to happen in the world, not what is happening, what's going to happen. You have to look into the future. When war is imminent, you start taking action, not after the declaration of war. Civil servants also have to take a lot of action when war is imminent. In those days of 62 and 65 war, trenches were dug for civilians to save themselves from bombs. Now times have changed, weapons have changed, technology has changed. So I think the personality test should be a very, very critical component of selection of civil servants, which it is not today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, IAS positions, very good, very good. I know, is this, one second, is this clapping indirect way of telling us, stop it? Then you are lost. I'm telling you, I'm not going to leave you. Another 10 more minutes. Another 10 more minutes, because the earlier session went a little ahead. Just intruding into my session. After me, there is no other session. You have only entertainment. So that can wait. Anyway, thank you so much. Thank you, sir. But I feel IAS, some of you, are all pretty young, intelligent people here. I would see that at least 10% of the students from here should step into IAS, because IAS people are the brainy ones behind the politics who advise the ministers. So it is not a bad job. You can still think about it. Henna, sir? So let me go to 2 questions only, and I would request Sujata madam and Lata ma'am to strictly adhere to 2 minutes max to maximum. Otherwise, those people, I don't know, they have stones with them. They will throw it to us. Okay. The question to Lata ma'am, which is important is, Bharatam has the greatest principle of management, the Bhagavad Gita. But most of the management concepts are owned by the so-called Western management gurus. Is this Y2H concept, is that the whole man concept? Does the whole man concept belong to Western management?
I'm scared of stones. I will rather sit down. So the Y2H concept is absolutely a Bharatiya concept developed from Karma Yoga, Bhagavad Gita. See the difference between Western management and the Bharatiya management thoughts. It's in its approach. Western management gurus wanted to develop or motivate and empower an individual to get maximum out of him. Industries want to get maximum work out of him. Whereas Bharatiya gurus wanted to motivate and empower a person to develop him to his highest potential. And our gurus, our acharyas believed in a holistic approach where a man should be a happy, contented man. And he is a sum total of many factors, like he is a happy husband, happy son, happy father, and he is a successful person who lives his life with a purpose. So our gurus really, they wanted a man is a mixture of many factors, the whole man concept. Actually, the holistic approach was not developed as it is believed, not developed by Western management gurus. It is developed by Bharatiya Acharyas long ago. In Upanishad, you can see the holistic approach. It is not at all developed by the Western management gurus. But our Acharyas, they never put their signature or they never wanted to highlight their names. That is why we lack that. We are not getting that information. We are getting a wrong information rather that these approaches are developed by the Western managers. And now the world is actually turning to Bharatiya management where we believe in Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. And thank you for the question hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. So, the NEP is talking about holistic education. That could be, in a way, considered as a whole man concept also. That is developing the entire personality. And the last question of the session is to Sujata Madam. See, I have done my homework. Madam said hard work. We have done hard work. The question is, the professional standards, Sujata ma'am, the professional standards of teachers or professors that teach in schools and colleges have shrunk to a devastating low level today. What could be the reason and how do we rectify this? Professional educational institutes are the ones that have to produce the best brains to guide the society and youth. What gaps are evident in management institutes of India, according to you? That is creating professionally talented teachers or professors or anyone for that matter.
That's a very interesting question. Thank you, ma'am. Guys, listen to the answer. This is about your teachers.
2 minutes, ma'am.
So first things first, the clapping was very welcome. But remember, some of the best teachers were some of the biggest Badmash students. Yours truly is one of them. I was made the school pupil leader because I was the biggest problem creator in the school. So don't use those tricks on us. That's what I'm trying to say. So what I would think about your question, ma'am, is that there is a disconnect between academia and profession, or what you call corporate people. So this distinction was very evident to me when I was studying for my doctorate. I did not do a PhD. What I've done is a doctorate in business administration. The difference between the two is PhD does not require work experience. Before you're selected for doctorate, you have to give that many years of relevant work experience. Otherwise, you're not selected for a doctorate. And next most important point, a PhD thesis does not have to prove applicability to the knowledge base of that particular line. Whereas in a doctorate, you have to prove to the industry experts how your subject and your answers are going to be actually implemented in the industry. Probably that is the disconnect between, see, for Indians, our system of education, our Gurukulas, how many of them did we have? About 100,000? Our gurus was sacrosanct. You know, even today, every one of us who are established in our careers, if there is a person who's sitting and doing pravachan on Bhagavad Gita, something that the youth of today lack is we are capable of respecting that pravachan and sitting and listening to it, hearing it, trying to take the good things out of it. So first and foremost, we must understand that the guru is not here to prove their knowledge to you. Your results are in the hands of that guru. Remember that. And gurus like me are very dangerous. Okay, we are capable of evaluating what you're even thinking in a minute. So the gurus must be sacrosanct. We must respect them. And many, unfortunately or fortunately for people in India, gurus never worked for money. That is something that the Indian system has absolutely understood and taken advantage of. I think that needs to change, ma'am. Because you know what is happening? Our parents are paying unbelievable amounts of money to send their children to international schools, and the teachers there are earning that much more money. At the risk of sounding not very diplomatic, I would like to say this, that the teachers in our aided schools are way better than the teachers in the international schools. Personal experience. In my children's Chennai schools, there were people of our community, Ayyar mummies we call them, who would actually, open their brains and fill it with maths. With passion, compassion. I have seen the maths teacher run after my son, actually like physically running after him. So you can find the passion among gurus. I would think in the lesser schools, our parents should understand that, try to send their children to those schools. Our system should also bridge the gap between the knowledge, academic knowledge, and actual implementable knowledge. That is another thing that is very important. I couldn't help think of all the books that I've read of Robin Cook and Stephen King and all that when you are talking about chat GPTs. The world that we are coming upon is a world that is going to be guided by science, by technology advancement. Our gurus are so capable, our teachers are so capable that even after 50, they're capable of learning this. So the government needs to somewhere teach the teachers this, because otherwise our oversmart students try to show off that knowledge to the teachers. That is a gap I've actually noticed. You cannot do anything in maths without using a calculator, and you are out to lecture to a person who actually knows how to do an integrative, a matrice-based mathematical problem. So that difference, that bridge that we need to create, I think we also need to run some courses for teachers where they are periodically brought up to date with the recent teaching methods, or maybe taught to handle oversmart students. These things can help, These things do happen in the corporate world. So I think we must get that to help our gurus and our teachers also. It will improve teaching quality big time.
All right. So like the students get training, it is imperative that even the teachers and the professors do undertake a training. In fact, every 3 years, they should refresh their own knowledge systems. Because the old MSCs and old MAs and all, whatever we have learned, may not be enough for the teachers or professors to experiment, put it into practice, and get it into the students' knowledge level. So teachers need to undergo professional training, competency in their own subjects, then only this gap can be filled. Most of the educational institutions are sending their teachers, professors for training, and NEP especially is talking about professional development. So that is a wonderful thing. So let me now, there are two questions from the audience that, sorry, one second. Let me summarize this panel discussion. We started with excellence. What is excellence? Lata madam explained to you. How to love one's work, that also madam said. You have to work, competency hona chahiye, you have to have capability. The whole person has to be developed if Indian society has to be really on top of the world, one. And we also discussed about passion in doing whatever is one doing at work, what one is doing. And we also spoke about value systems. We also spoke about transmission of culture. And to the question of becoming an IAS officer, he is also disappointed because not many people are coming forward to take up that hard work, because it is a lot of commitment that is required. So it was a wonderful discussion with all of them. We have 2 questions here. The question is again, one question I think that was on the question goes like this: the world has become so fast-paced and advanced that the education, knowledge, information skills we have become outdated in a very less time period. Yes, everything, change is a constant thing. The competition in the world, we are striving in the exam, the competition in the world we are striving, in the exam we are studying, in the business we are starting, etc., is increasing. We are becoming outdated as of now, and artificial intelligence has erupted in this world. What shall we do as students of Amrit Kal do? How shall we face these challenges? Can we integrate AI in our lives and update ourselves? It's a question probably. Would you like to answer that? Quickly.
There is no end to education. And don't think you are at the phase where education is changing fast.
The same question.
Think about your grandmother. Or think about even your parents. They have no clue about the mobiles, and now you're upon them with the chat GPTs and stuff. They have seen far more changes. First thing that I would think that you must understand is that you're not unique. The world has seen changes before. You will also see them. Have a positive outlook. Artificial intelligence is very disruptive. There are many influences that are there in the technology world as of today that are going to be disruptive. But believe me, without knowing arithmetic, you cannot do anything in life, right? So the basics that you all are learning, they will form the foundation based on which you will expand your future knowledge. You will keep going back to it. You will keep learning new things. I'm a techie. I'm a hardcore techie. When we started learning, you know what we were learning? Do you even know what I was teaching? But I'll tell you this. I'm an expert in something that you guys would have never heard of. I'm an expert in logic development. I'm an expert in C language. I throw out the code that is written in PHP in like seconds. I'm like, this code is wrong. Because my foundation is very strong. So you don't worry about AI, you don't worry about the progress, you don't worry about the displacement. Knowledge is never going to get outdated. Knowledge needs to be built on. You need to constantly upgrade. But the foundations that you have, like for instance, I'm a techie, okay? But I'm very good at investment management. How? Because I've done my MCOM in accounts. Really, that was my base qualification. And how does that help me now? I mean, I can interpret balance sheets very easily. I'm a good investor. I'm a very good investment manager because I can read data. Personally, I believe you can't understand finance unless you know the debit and the credit and what you have written there and exact amounts that are matching or not. As I'm saying this, as a person who's been in this line of technology, as a person who's done her doctorate in blockchains, I can tell you this. Base knowledge, the exams you're studying for, the papers you're writing, don't worry about the future. Chat aayega, today AI has come, tomorrow something else will come. Coming, changing, you cannot stop it. You are going to have to learn to bring yourself up to date, adjust to it, learn further, and you must learn learning skills. You know this, I told you, I'm a student for life, I'm writing notes. I don't write notes on this because this does not keep track of notes as well as this does. So you will devise your own methods of learning, of keeping up to date. But foundation, don't worry at all. What exam am I giving? What is this going to help me in life? My mother, who's a professor, used to always say, and she still says it, no knowledge. See, you learn to stitch a button, okay? Even that knowledge, you learn to do something very, very trivial. Even that knowledge never leaves you. Knowledge never leaves you. The only wealth, it is defined in our Shastras, the only wealth that is permanent and the only wealth that stays with you forever is knowledge. Okay? And you keep collecting it, man. We will see what we use. Okay? And chat GPTs, AIs, everything is created by humans only, humans will learn to understand it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So we are coming to the conclusion. The other question is almost the same thing, only we have explained by now all of that. You know, our parents, when they bring the students in school education, I'm talking from the KG class onwards, they have all aspirations and dreams that one day my son or daughter would become XYZ businessman or doctor, engineer, auditor, whatever. They are the dreams. But it is in my 43 years of experience, till this point in time, I have not heard any parent speaking that he or she would want his or her daughter to become a teacher. The teacher is the one who creates all of you. A teacher has created all of us, but none of the parents want their kids to become a teacher. At least I believe that as teachers, we could touch the lives of many students. You may not like some teachers or like some professors or may not like a subject, probably because you didn't like the professor or teacher. That is a reason. But at a later point in time, when you become a little advanced or matured, when you start getting good children in your life, your own sons and daughters, you will start looking back. Who made me like this? It is your teacher. Respect for gurus is a factor which you have to seriously think about. The impatience that you have always in your mind is quite natural, but you have to come over that. Learn wherever learning is possible. Be what you are. Be sincere and truthful to your own self. Thank you very much for listening to us. Thank you.
Thank you so much to all our distinguished panelists and the moderator for the session for their deliberation on some of the most pertinent questions surrounding the education sector. Thank you so much. I would now like to call upon Trustee of HSNC Board, Mrs. Maya Shahani, to kindly felicitate the panelists and the moderator for the session. We'll be starting with our panelist, Dr. Sujata. Okay. Our moderator for the day, Dr. Vijayam Ravi. A huge round of applause, guys. Dr. Lata Nair, our panelist. Dr. Sujata Seshadrinathan, our panelist for the day. Shri R.N. Prashad, the panelist for the session. A huge round of applause for our panelists and the moderator for the session. Thank you so much, everyone. I would request the dignitaries to kindly come front stage for a group picture, please. A round of applause for Dr. Uma Maheshwari, our panelist from the previous session, who kindly agreed to be on the stage for this panel as well.